Against this right back, Charlie's definitely.
It don't cost nothing to smash the like button, folks.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. As the big man Ian Wright just said there, people deluded, I'm back again. First things first, if I haven't seen you since September has started, new month, new blessings for you and your loved ones. Wishing you lot great health and whatever your ambitions and aspirations are. As usual, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. And big up to you lot, whether you're on Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube. If you're on YouTube, smash the like button. People, as much as I like talking about Arsenal, it's boring hearing my own voice. So any comments, questions, differences of opinions, they're all welcome. Now, in relation to what we've seen from I said Argos. I just came from Argos. I meant to say Arsenal. In relation to August, it's been a mixed bag. It's been a mixed bag off and on the field. Obviously, life is coming at us very quickly. We've had the Champions League draw. We've seen Sterling come through the door. We've seen us fail to bring in targets. You know, on the face of it, 7 points from 9 isn't the worst of scenarios. I don't know how you lot feel about the Brighton game. You could argue it's a point gain, considering we went down to 10 men and we were living dangerously. I do believe that on one hand. And on the other hand, I actually believe it's 2 points dropped. Because you know, we're not going to win them all. You know, it's very early in the season, but a draw is almost as worse as a defeat when you've got Manchester City. We need to probably beat them and definitely beat Spurs when the international break is done. Obviously, not winning leaves a sour taste in the mouth where the international break's concerned. But yeah, I think for me, it's 2 points dropped. I can consider, you know, down to 10 men. If you can't win, don't lose. But I don't feel the game management was there. I can't criticize Mikel Arteta, but I'm the first to big him up, people. I actually feel, you know, we always praise Mikel Arteta as in a positive way when required to be pragmatic and be quite proactive. Now, when I was at the game, it felt like he only went, if I can remember correctly, he went to a back five once we conceded. That's on Mikel Arteta. For the players, for a team that's well structured, that's well good defensively at all facets, apart from, in my opinion, Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, and probably David Raya, we looked shaky defensively. We looked a bit nervous, and that wasn't really the performance I would have liked to have seen. And I think even our two centre-halves went to sleep. And obviously, we can't. I'm bored of speaking about Mr. Chris Kavanagh. We know he did us dirty. This is the same referee that complained about celebrations against Bournemouth. We know there's an agenda against his football club. We know in the Premier League there's an inconsistency. I don't believe in per se of, you know, these things even out across the season, but last season there was a lot of things that went against us, and there was a number of decisions, let's be honest, we got away with. Like, I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it, but I remember Martin Odegaard at Anfield, people. Either way, it's done now. August is gone. September's a big month. We're going to start to get into that climate now of 2 games a week, 3 games every 10 days. I don't know where you lot are in terms of our depth, but we've got a lot more games, provided we go all the way. Considering what we played to this point and pre-season, there's a reality where we've played 70 plus games. So I don't know if the depth is there. I guess in the transfer market, you have brought in Raheem Sterling. That is a versatile attacker. I called for that. Mikel Merino is out for 2 months. Apparently, Sammy Maltbell's come out with an article. We'll go over that. But in theory, he's a central midfielder. Calafiori brings more depth on the left-hand side. And, you know, I don't really count David Raya or Timber as new signings, but David Raya has been officially confirmed as a permanent Arsenal footballer, as you guys know, people. And also, Timber is like a new signing, to quote Mikel Arteta's former manager, Arsene Wenger. So it's a mixed bag, man. And again, where you look at our squad, I don't know where you lot see it, but in short, do we have close to 17 players we trust? Because we know at best, probably 12 last season. We had whoever was starting in Trossard. You could probably extend that to about 14 when you had Tomiyasu, you know, Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, people of this ilk on the bench. Now, again, have we got that? You know, it feels that we've done some good, we've done some bad. In terms of outgoings, we've got a number of young players cleared off the books, which every penny counts. We could argue that you could have got more money in certain scenarios. I understand the Ramsdale thing, but at the same time, whatever people have to say about Ramsdale, said this numerous times, is he a worse keeper leaving in Arsenal than when he walked in? No. So why are we losing money? Big up for Smith Rowe and Eddie Nketiah sales. I think we did well. And I do rate the club for, finding alternative targets. But from what you're seeing with the fallout pieces in the Athletic and what we know, and even Edu, when he spoke about Raheem Sterling, we failed to get our top targets. Let's be honest. Where the goalkeeper stuff, you didn't get Dan Bentley, you didn't get that Wigan lad, you didn't get João Garcia. You weren't really having a snowball's chance of getting Nico Williams. I like the ambition, but if the man's it's clear that you can't sign him, forget about that. The Benjamin Sesko thing didn't work. So yeah, man, it's a mixed bag, and it feels like there was holes in our squad already, and we've addressed certain areas, but then we've poked other holes in our jumper. So it is what it is. And central midfield, again, there's a bit of a dilemma. There is a bit of a crisis, if I'm completely honest. I don't want to do the fear mongering and the scaremongering, but Mikel Merino was someone shown as bringing in depth, someone that could be a first name on the team sheet. And I'm sure a lot of Arsenal fans would have liked to have seen. Injuries can strike at any time. It's a freak injury in training. He's irrelevant for 2 months now. So you're then back to Partey, Jorginho. You're flirting with Kai Havertz probably having to play in midfield. And you know what? Shoot me, people. I want to see Kai Havertz play up front against Spurs. But I'm not going to lie to you lot. A part of me wants him in midfield just because he mucks in. And we know that's not Kai Havertz. We know he, on the ball in terms of build-up play, that's not him. You're relying a bit too much on Martin Odegaard. Rightly so. A lot of you have probably just said at your computer screens, tablets or phones, who the hell plays up front. You do have Sterling. You do have Trossard. I would prefer for the North London derby, Gabriel Jesus. But again, I can't talk about people that are not fit. Thomas Partey's gone off with Garner. And I don't want to be negative, but I'm braced to hear he's injured. So what? At this moment in time, in terms of injuries, Tomiyasu's got a knock. Gabriel Jesus got a knock. Obviously, Mikel Moreno's got a knock. There's probably some players carrying little minor niggles as well. And in terms of fitness, we don't look all the way there. I'm a big fan of Declan Rice. I still think he's having teething issues this season. I actually think of the people who play in midfield, Thomas Partey's probably been our best one, but there's a lot to be desired there. He still don't look fully fit, in which, again, it's been 3 games. I'm not expecting that, but my point being, it's just a mixed bag of stuff connected to the football club, man. Smash the like button if you haven't, and big up you lot. We've got Partey, Zinchenko, Odegaard. You're flirting with Zinchenko as an option. I'm not sure I want him in midfield against Spurs, and you can't write off anyone. But it's Spurs, and again, anyone can beat anyone. But this Spurs midfield, really, again, we know it's a big game. It's probably the biggest derby in the Premier League, the one that actually lives up to the hype. But you look at their options in midfield, player for player, there ain't too much in it. A part of me wants to see Kai Havertz, Thomas Partey and Odegaard. I do understand you could put Zinchenko there. I'm not convinced with him off the ball enough. I'm pretty sure being at the game, Benjamin White at a time in that second half was playing in midfield. So it's one where I'm happy I'm not Mikel Arteta. Jorginho, someone, again, it depends on if the game's like a chess match, that's bread and butter for Jorginho. If it's one of those typical end-to-end Premier League games, naturally the man's going to struggle. And I don't listen. El Nene needed to go, but a part of me wishes El Nene was just in the squad just for this game in particular. But it is what it is. We've got what we've got. Jorginho could work with that high line versus Spurs live playing, in my opinion. And it depends. Is Jorginho going to be the 6 and Partey the 8? Or is Jorginho going to be not quite an 8, but venturing forward and Partey kind of sweeping up? I'm not sure. Appreciative to you, Raheem, in the cut. Long time watcher. Appreciate you, EK. Bro, every fan is depressed, including me. These 2 weeks are going to be painful. Depression. We've got to stay away from saying that word, man, really and truly. And I get it. I am down in the dumps. I am feeling sorry for myself. It does feel like somebody's picked our pocket, especially where the ref's concerned. But it is what it is, man. The highs and lows, it comes with football. Again, what I would say is the ref, obviously, we were fairly comfortable until the ref made it about him. Well, to be fair, for minute 0, he made it about himself. But the big talking point with Declan Rice, the only tonic I have for that is, I do believe if we park the ref, and it's very hard to park the ref in relation to the Brighton stuff, but if we just park the ref, did we do enough to win the game? We didn't defend well for the goal we conceded. We didn't take our chances. You need to be effective in both boxes. Anytime you read what Mikel Arteta says, that's what he says. We weren't clinical, and it raises the question. Many people say we need a clinical attacker or a clinical striker, and I wholeheartedly agree. But Kai Havertz bagged. He scored. He has scored. He done relatively well this season. He did score in that game. And you can't expect everyone to score 100 chances. Even Haaland, obviously, Kai Havertz is not better than him, but even he's not bagging them. But then Kai, either half, missed some good chances. Saka missed some good chances. Odegaard, 2 weeks, now you should have 2 goals for the season. To be fair, Odegaard should have had a goal and assist, really, and he was denied a very well-class assist, if I remember, in that first half where he scooped it over their defense. Saka's, taking it all wrong, really and truly. So, yeah. Osimhen went to Galatasaray on loan and we never did that deal. There's got to be something wrong with Osimhen then. Like, respectfully, you know, Turkish league, big league, I'm sure all of them things there. But that screams to me that Ivan Toney going to Saudi stuff in the sense of, you know, Tony's getting a lot of money. But when you do all of this talking and you say you want to leave and stuff like that, and, you know, whether it's in Osimhen's case, Chelsea, or for Ivan Toney, Arsenal, wherever, you're left with egg in your face. You have to keep it moving. And clearly, you know, Napoli are trying to force him out the door. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think the Saudi and the Turkish markets evidently have to be open. So that's that, really. And what sort of loan is that? It's crazy. We drew with Fulham same time last season. DG, look what happened. We have to learn from our mistakes. DG, throw Ethan in. We need to go forward unless you're talking Jorginho on the 8 and it's too slow. Moving Kai is weak in 2 areas. And that's the issue you have, really and truly. But in reality, not necessarily, because when you break it down and football's actually played, you know, strikers are not just staying up front. It's quite a fluid sort of way of football. You know, Gabriel Jesus or Trossard, they're going to drop into midfield. Kai Havertz in midfield. All I want you to do is muck in and then run in behind, and you've got Odegaard dropping deep. So I do agree, because I did kind of say that, you know, you've already got holes and you're making more holes, but I think it could work. My immediate bias is probably Jorginho, Partey and Odegaard, but then somebody did say it. How often has Partey and Jorginho worked together? And I think we're now in that territory where, big up Jorginho, he's a good player. But I feel last season we had to utilize him a lot more than Arteta would have banked on. And that's what annoys me, because it's like we're still going through the same things. We still got a small squad. Mikel, Arteta and Edu, you made a lot of talk. Now, I have no doubt that you tried to eradicate and go about things. But when you sit here and tell us we've got one of the smallest squads in the league, we have meetings from April and March about what we're doing. I'm sure a few months ago, Edu was coming out and saying, I get lots of scouting reports and over 180 pages on players. I can only, you know, whether you tried, I applaud you for that. I can only look at what's in front of me. And there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic. There's plenty of reasons to think, oh, you know what, this could get long for us. We're just going to have to see how this pans out, man, really. But I would say to Edu and Mikel Arteta, if there is sympathy, I don't reserve it for them. I reserve it for the playing staff. I reserve it for the fans in relation to that, because as much as it's about having, when your full squad is fit and when you're at your best, it's also at your worst. When you've got a whole heap of injuries and suspensions and whatnot, how good are you? What is the playing staff you can put out? And do you honestly believe in that? All of these players are here. You know what? I think every player now, it feels like, Nelson go, Ed Nketiah going means, really and truly, it probably is a full confirmed kind of new squad, give or take, excluding Saka. So he's going to have to get on with it. Mikel was trying to bring Ricardo on before the goal. Fair enough. 3-5-2. Do you think we'll beat Spurs away without Rice? We're going to have to find a way. Do I think there's enough quality out there to give them a performance? Yeah, you know, big up Newcastle, and they're different types of players, really. But if they can do it with Longstaff, why not? Like, Jorginho's a good player, and I don't really rate Spurs' midfield like that. Of course, naturally, Spurs are playing in their own ground. They're going to snap at the tackles. They're going to make it difficult. They're going to try and, well, it's not really true with Postecoglou, but it's a bit of a mid-block. We know what teams are likely to do. They've got a high line, exploit that. They struggle to defend set pieces, exploit that. Spurs kind of remind me of the initial days under Mikel Arteta, in that two halves, two very different teams. You look at the game against Leicester, should have blew Leicester away in the first half. What happened in the second? You know, in the first half, Spurs were woeful. Second half, they were better. And obviously, is that number 14? He loves scoring against Spurs. You're an Arsenal man. I must admit, I didn't think Mikel was trying to bring on Ricardo before the goal. It looked like he called him over once we conceded, but I hear it. 2 months for Merino. Real Arsenal timeline is December. And that's the annoying thing, in that, you know, when we was doing the reviews of Mikel Merino and whatnot, you kept hearing me saying he's averaged around 40 appearances in the last couple of years. And now look. And it's, again, it's never a good time to get injuries, but that was something that was giving me a lot of confidence stepping into this kind of period with Spurs away, with City, with the Champions League. Even that, because you've got Spurs, strongest team has to go out there. There has to be some level of rotation in the Champions League, but can you really afford to? You want to start the group stage well, and City is City, really. So we're going to have to get on with it, man. Liverpool finish over Arsenal this season. Fair enough. Congratulations to City, 2024-25 winners. It wouldn't surprise me if they get a fifth peat. They stifled us with the fixtures. Bolton, then 2 days later, Atalanta, then 4 days later, City. But we know this. Like, I hear you and you're not wrong, but everybody complains about the fixture schedule list. The managers, the players, we know this. We want to be a team that competes in all these things, but hey, we're going to have to get on with it. Be fun if we click and blow Spurs away without Rice. No, I wouldn't. You know, Rice is the minute you're fit, Rice, you're back in. But I want to see that. I'd love to see us do that, really, because that's what a team has to do. You need to be able to get performances when players are missing or when or players aren't in form. So I expect that. You know, we all know the Bolton fixture. That's probably where you're going to see Neto get his first start. Arteta, I don't want to say we'll throw it away, smash the like button. If there was going to be mass rotation, there's that. You'd love to see Lewis Skelly get some minutes. You'd love to see Ethan actually start in that game as well. We're going to have to get on with it. We definitely have a midfield problem with Rice being suspended for the North London derby. We have 2 more Champions League matches along with Spurs and City in the next 2 games. In the next 2. I can't lie, I'm playing Zinni there. I mean, if Spurs were that team that's going to sit back, then yeah. And I mean, if Zinchenko starts in midfield, you could argue, you know, that's what a lot of Arsenal fans want to see. But I don't really believe in Zinchenko there. I believe when we got the ball, you're great. But if you go to sleep at fullback, what's going to happen in the middle of the park? I don't think I'm not even trying to criticize Zinchenko. You're not robust enough. You're not tenacious enough. Like, I wouldn't even describe Jorginho as a tenacious player, but he scores quite high for interceptions. The only problem with Jorginho is if you have to go the other way. So I'd rather bet on Jorginho. But I don't want to see Kai Havertz, play in midfield. But I could understand it. Mikel needs to be brave enough to either play Ethan or Zinchenko in midfield, maybe even Timber. I'd rather see Ethan or Timber, if I'm honest with you. The rub of the green, you got to make do with what you got. This is what tests and develops Arteta to be a better manager. So it'll be sink or swim settings the beginning of the season. It really is a baptism of fire, man. Nelly, Trossard and Saka. That's probably owing to the question in the chat. When are we playing Bolton? We'll get into all of that. If it wasn't Spurs, I'd want Ethan. Sterling up front with Kai in midfield could work. Then switch it up by moving Kai up front and swapping Sterling with Jorginho if need be. You would imagine there'd be subs. Man are crying in week 3. What's week 12, 18, and 25 going to be? Just got to take the rough with the smooth, man. It's a small problem, like Arteta said, about how going to work, and there's different ways to work. He's got to find them. Do you think we'll beat? I think I answered this. Do you think we'll beat Spurs without Rice? We have to, man. It's Spurs. That's when we want to win. What don't people see that Sterling brings experience that is going to make our current wingers better? I mean, I don't know how that will make our wingers evidently better. Of course, there's a wealth of experience you could teach Saka if there was anything, or even Ethan could learn a lot, especially with being a young player in Sterling's case and coping with stuff. But the players got to learn off their own back, man. Napoli just didn't want to deal with Chelsea, and we weren't involved because of how volatile Napoli and Osimhen's agencies. We did well staying clear. I actually think Chelsea weren't keen on giving in to Osimhen's demands, really, if I'm honest. I forgot about Trossard, played 8 a few times. I'd rather see Trossard up front on the left or in the 10, really. And then maybe Trossard in the 10, Odegaard in the 8, and then probably run with Partey. It's something Arteta's got a couple of weeks to think about. Great things happen during adversity. Desperately fitting round pegs into square holes could unlock a lethal combination that we might stick with for the season. I disagree with sticking with it through the season, but you're right about adversity. But what I would say, D, it sounds great. It does sound great, and you're 100% right. But I do think us Arsenal fans, we get caught in this trap of these buzzwords. Like, we're not going to war. It's playing football, isn't it? Like, we've got blunt tools. Let's make them work, innit, really. These next games against City and Spurs will tell me whether we've given the title up already. We need at least 4 points from 2. North London derby has to be a win. As for City, I'm hesitant. I mean, you never want anything less than 3 points against Spurs. City, honestly, I don't think we're going to get anything, but I didn't feel that in the last 2 games last season and what happened there, man. Who will Arteta start in midfield? Not a clue, man. And in relation to my midfield, there's a lot of time to think. But honestly, my immediate bias is probably Jorginho, Partey, and Odegaard. If not, I can't lie. I'm probably going to put Havertz in there, at least for a period in that game. I feel the idea of our midfield being weaker might trick Spurs into doing something stupid with a high line that we could counter. You know what Spurs are going to do? They're going to play that high line. And that's probably why I want Sterling and Saka and even Trossard. You know, Martinelli could do his thing. At the end of the day, though, as much as we're nervous, at the end of the day, it's football, isn't it? It's not like Formula One where, dependent on your engineers or the methods you have around your car gives you an advantage. It's still football. Like, you're just kicking a ball around. We've all got 11. Hopefully, we have 11 come minute 90. But yeah, man, we'll have to see. We can all say We can all say need to be more ruthless, but at the same time, are we not allowed to win games 1-0 anymore without having to worry about refs screwing us? They didn't have a shot on target before the red, which is true. And you're right, the ref shot us in our foot. But at the same time, you are right. 1-0 does it all the time. You're not going to win sometimes. You're not going to win them all 2, 3, 4. But one does wonder. Being at their game, for me, that first 20 minutes, we should have put them to bed. Saka or Odegaard definitely should have been on the score sheet, as well as Kai Havertz. And there's been many times where refs has done us dirty, but we scored a couple of goals and we ran away. And that was a game we needed to. Of course, the referee is a big talking point. But if we remove the ref, football's about the boxes. We didn't defend well enough for the goal conceded, 10 men or not. And we even had chances to nick it at that period. So, yeah, man, it's a mixed bag. We just have to go on it. Neto is cup tied. Raya will play. Yeah, again, yeah, you're right. So, yeah, Raya has to play and go. So, yeah, man, this is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Oh, man, you lot said you wanted the season back there. We have it, man. My midfield, Havertz, Jorginho, Odegaard. I must admit, Partey has to play for me. You, man, say every game defines our season. You, man, live in fear for no reason. I will start Calafiori over Timber as well. I mean, Calafiori's impressed me with his cameos. I'm quite happy whether it's Calafiori or Timber, but like it's good options, man. I just wish Tomiyasu was back in the mix. And to be fair, you lot are saying somebody said play 5 defenders. That could be a shout. Is it a 3 at the back thing? It doesn't necessarily have to be a negative one. I don't see us doing it, but it's food for thought. Ethan, Odegaard, and Partey might be the move. Front 3 of Nelly, Sterling, Saka, straight transitional threat. I think. Well, I assume. Well, you said Kai in midfield. I assume Sterling in the false 9. Do you know what? Naturally, Postecoglou's got to be thinking about if Arteta is going to play Sterling through the middle or starting, but it could be something to catch them cold. But one wonders, how fit is Sterling? Obviously, you took part in Chelsea's pre-season. You haven't played any part of the season now. Look, they kind of banished you from the training ground. You're probably training or have trained today as we speak and on this video. But match fitness, I mean, I guess you might be fit enough to start, but does he have 90 in him? So, I don't know. Zinni hype is dead. 29, 5 in midfield. I think you mean Odegaard, Kai, and Partey in midfield. Raheem, Trossard, Saka front 3. Not mad at Jorginho in midfield though. Sterling is just a more creative player. That's what Arsenal needs up front. It's the running out of ideas up front in the final third that's worrying. You can see when Trossard comes on as a sub. For me, it's just put the ball in the back of the net. We need to have a mobile midfield against Spurs. Ethan might be a shout. Rice needed a break. He's on the brink of injury. Blessing in disguise, in my opinion. Where did we get that though? I think he's just lacking match fitness. Shout out to yourself, David. Do you take Rabiot from Juventus? Juventus is at, Rabiot, sorry, is a free agent. Nah, I mean, I'm desperate for a midfielder. I'm probably more on getting Rabiot now than I ever thought. But yeah, man. Big up, see. Arteta and Pep both haven't signed their extensions. Arteta wasn't back substantially this summer as KSE returned to sustain the model. Is Mikel are leaving us for City? I think personally, Mikel Arteta signed a new deal and it's just not been announced. But I couldn't begrudge Arteta if he thought about it. I hear that you're still vexed, man, but it is what it is. I'm not confident. I'm scared of Tottenham. I'll never be scared of Tottenham. It is what it is, man. Like, is what it is. Wait, did Martinelli make the Brazil squad? I'm unsure, if I'm honest with you. I hope not, because you need these players to rest. I can't believe 3 games in, no more than 2 injuries in any area, and we're panicking as a fan base, not about losses or performance. I mean, I've only spoken about performance. I don't think I've breeded any negativity. If we can't do it against Brighton, what are we doing really and truly? I just think it's a bad day at the office, man. I honestly, regardless of the ref, and I think that's obviously increased Pep. I keep saying Pep. Someone mentioned Pep. That's obviously peed off Mikel Arteta more. But generally looking at the game, being there, I don't think Arteta's happy with anything really beyond the obvious of scoring and some sort of resolute defending. He was losing his shit at how he was defending. He was getting angry at how he was building up from the back. He was even getting angry at how he was pressing. And I just think it was a bad I think it was a bad day at the office, which the ref has kind of messed it up. And it's a shame because first 20 minutes in particular, we started very fast. I didn't see Danny Welbeck. In fact, I only really saw Danny Welbeck when I'm sure you've all seen the footage when he's talking to the ref. So bad day at the office, man. My issue with Partey is he lacks self-awareness. He overcommits when his body can't cover that space, which is true. And you can look at the Brighton game and you have that. His pass selection is also very aggressive. Hence why I would go with Jorginho, sets the tempo better. So I would go with both. I think Partey is needed, honestly. But, you know, you won't listen, whether it's Ethan, whether it's Kai, whether it's Partey, just get the 3 points, man. All Odegaard did was raise his hands to the fans. They did a great man marking job on Odegaard, if I'm honest with you, and they did a really good job in stopping us from playing centrally. I do think Odegaard should have had an assist courtesy of Saka. I definitely think he should have scored, and I just don't think Odegaard put in a real good performance. Now, I'm not worried about Odegaard. He tends to need a while to get to going with things in the season, but we need a bit better, man. You know, unless you're honestly the Brighton game, unless your name's David Raya, you could do better. I would say, you know, Calafiori, one love for the cameo. Don't think Zinchenko really did much. Neither Martinelli, so they're excluded. I think Raya looked like the only one assured of himself, and I think Kai's been doing his thing. I think Saka, the 3 games he's delivered. But I'd say Raya, for me, Raya's probably been our best player in these 3 games so far. And which, take nothing away from Raya, if I'm saying that about the goalie, boy, I'm not sure what you're saying. Can't panic and ting. It's a nice thing to have because we're in a title race and one of the best teams around. That's all cool, man. But like, we can only deal with what's in front of us. By all means, when there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic, be optimistic. When there's reason to be negatives, be negatives. Find a balance. I think we can't get ahead of ourselves. It is only 3 games. I think there's a lot we could do better. I think we can lick our wounds for the referee. I think we can be wary about the injuries. I think we can still have a bit of bad blood with the transfer window, but we're going to have to just get on with it, really and truly. I can only look at what's in front of me, and that is Spurs, City, whatever we've got in the Champions League. I am very nervous about our depth, if I had to say that. If Jesus was fit, I'd play Havertz in midfield, to be honest, but we have to play Partey and Jorginho. Get the likes up. DJ spitting facts. Not sure on the facts, but like Alvin said, hit the like button. Bro, I can't lie. I said some horrible things when Odegaard misplaced that pass to Calafiori. Bro got all them silky passes, but a slight bit of pressure on them. We're mashing up basic through balls, I think you mean. And it was bad in that. Even as much as I think the first 20, Ben White was giving them away. And I think Ben White started to struggle as the game went on, really. But the only luxury I'll give my club is when it became 10 Arsenal players against 12 Brighton ones, the referees, that's the only time they became a contrast. And that's when Brighton came alive. And we had to live dangerously. It happens. You know, I don't think you can afford to drop too many points. It's a big if. If we go on a winning run from now, get a couple of 3 points on the board, the narrative starts to change, man. A week's a long time in football. You've got 38 Premier League weeks. That's before you talk about the champs and all of that stuff. So we're just going to have to get on with it, man. Like, Arteta, it's your job to find solutions. So I don't know who you're going to deploy, whether you're going to give Ethan, do your thing, you know, whether you're going to play Kai or Jorginho. Think of a way to go against it, man, and do whatever. Jorginho does have that pass. It might be the one to pop in. I think we'll see Sterling, so we should get the result. City, though, after playing Atalanta away, right? So we're going to listen. This is the dynamics, man. We're going to have to get on with it. In the best case scenario, Mikel Merino isn't quite out for 2 months. And yeah, we know, you know what, to say we've got midfield panic stations is a bit premature because we know Declan Rice will be back. But yeah, man, this is where I know it's not going to happen, but if we just assume, take the squad from last season, people. So just imagine Ramsdale, Smith, all these guys have not exited the football club, right? I know it's naive, but for me, you could have argued, like I said, everybody who was at the club last season, you could argue, regardless of Partey, Jorginho, and all of them, you could have had 2 central midfielders. You could have got a winger and a striker. I'm not sure in the depth, man. But again, your backs are against the wall, stand up and fight, really. And I think the club is, I think I'll give my players that luxury. I've seen them do it last season. They're just going to have to do it again now, really. So, yeah, man. We're a bloody good team, but we lack winners' mentality. These players don't learn, take your chances. There's many ways to beat these mid blocks. Once you have pacey runners, they'll stop all that packing. We don't have speed threats, so it's tough to access centrally. Hopefully Sterling can bring something to the table in that regard. If we play like this, City can dominate us, so we have to switch around. But if you play like how you played in the second half, 10 men or not against City, it's going to be ugly, and it'll be back to the days it used to be when we played Manchester City. I hope to be wrong, people. Let's get into what the talking points and all of that stuff is. Now, apparently the Premier League have issued a statement to explain why Declan Rice was sent off. I don't care for what they have to say. I'm sure you lot don't either, people. I mean, we all know why it was given. I don't care. But what I would say is Brighton should have had a corner when it came off Gabriel. We definitely should have had a handball. I remember 10 minutes in being at the game. Like, how have they got away with that one? Fair enough, though, man. The ref early doors made it all about himself, people. There's extremely inconsistent refereeing, as we know. João Pedro's allowed to do that, but Declan Rice is booked. What I would say to Declan, I don't think you should be sent off, but use this in it. Don't give the ref a decision to make, and he doesn't do that. We know we're judged harshly, and I'm sure some of you would have seen on social media back when Declan Rice actually played for West Ham. When Declan Rice was at West Ham, he did the very same thing against us. Did he get booked? Nope. The ref made it about himself. And I think, you know, referees are human. They have bias. They have emotions like everyone. It threatens the integrity. This is a referee that has several times done certain things against our football club that was upset that we celebrated against Bournemouth. Why the hell is he refereeing these games? You can't criticize a ref. Arteta says exactly what he feels like in that press conference. He's getting fined. You know, the refs protect referees. The only refs that are honest are those that are retired or are not actively reffing and they're working on TV publications. Refs in any job, managers get sacked, players get dropped. You lot in whatever your jobs get sacked. Referees are going to get rewarded. Like, really and truly, this was a low-level game. Arsenal versus Brighton. There's not really any talking points, really, 3 games in. These guys end up refereeing, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Man United, Arsenal, this. Being a ref is the easiest job. You're not allowed to criticize them, which in football or in sport, it's a dangerous game to play, man. Like Saka said, he wants consistencies. And I mean, you go back to what Arsene Wenger said in 2019. We lost our status as invincibles against Man United in a game where refs shared some of the responsibilities. It wasn't deserved. And crucially, when I die, I'm going to ask God where the refs are before I choose between heaven and hell. And I think I'm with you with that, man. And again, what's going on there, man? Now, Rice has to be smarter, but it is what it is. For what it's worth, the man himself has apologized. He said, I was shocked. I think you could see it in my face. I was shocked. I've not sprinted back in front of him and smashed the ball away. I've touched the ball with the outside of my foot, which probably shouldn't have done it. He said, look, this is the law of the game. If you touch the ball away even a little, obviously it's a red card after my challenge in the first half, which I fully accept was a 50-50 that I didn't win. But the second half one, especially with it being in the corner flag, Brighton can't really progress anywhere from there. And that's true. And also the ball's moving. And let's be honest, anyone that's played football, yeah, Veltman was doing a lot in that game. He saw it as a chance to just get a bit of dark arts over on Declan Rice, which evidently it worked, man. So fair enough. It was tough. It was harsh. But, I mean, the laws are the laws, innit? It's just the inconsistencies, if I'm honest with you. But it's one of those, I have to move on from it. I'll be better for it. I can only praise the players for digging deep for me. Why? And the manager, Arteta, for pushing everyone, and the fans as well, who were unbelievable again this afternoon. That's how I see it. Fair enough, man. And that's his first red card of his career. And he said sorry. And you didn't deserve to be sent off in that. And I think Saka's even questioned the consistency, people. Obviously, Arteta, we'll get into Arteta's comments. But Arteta's player, Bukayo Saka said, I thought it was a bit harsh for us. We just want some consistency. João Pedro booted the ball halfway across the pitch in the first half and got nothing for it. Dec got the slightest touch and was sent off. It is what it is. I don't want to put the whole game on the referee as we still had chances to win it. True. It's been a good start. Today is a disappointment, but it's a long season. You said it there. I think our star boy said it perfectly there, man. 2 truths can live in the same realm, man. No, man, that was a yellow card. Like the first half tackle by Rice was a borderline red cap. And then, yeah, Pedro should have gotten a yellow card for kicking the ball away, but Rice deserves a second yellow. You play with fire, you get burned, in it. Probably should have been easy. Calafiori should be starting left back and Timber should be starting centre mid. Once Rice got the red card, Arteta should have immediately brought on Calafiori. PGMOL want to talk about letter of the law, rolling ball moved out of the correct kicking. Just say it was a bad call by the ref, but they don't want to admit to mistakes. They don't want to own up to errors. There you have it. Mikel needs to have us doing 10 versus 11 in training. City can dominate the ball with 10, but we park the bus and only do long balls. Bit harsh. I do think we tried, but at the same time, I do think the club, you're damned if you do, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If we went gun-ho with 10 men down and we lost the game, people would have said we should have shut up shop. We shut up shop. People are saying we parking the bus at home, but we all know there's agendas. That being said, we could have still won the game. And for me, my criticism with the players, because you look nervous. You did it for a team that's very good defensively, that has changed its ethos defensively. 10 men or not, we're far too wide. We're not compact enough. People are stepping into midfield where you don't need to step into midfield, highlighted by Gabriel and obviously Saliba. Even the Declan Rice stuff, if I remember correctly, I think Partey was one of the better players, but even Partey is out of position. So it was just, there was some good, The ref has put a big talking point on it, but we could have done a lot better. We have to wait till January for new signings, but that's a myth. Hopefully, Ethan and Lewis Skelly have their moment during the North London derby. It's time for Sterling to step up, man. This is it. Make or break season for Jesus for me. He's going to have to get fit, if I'm honest with you, before we can really take that in, if I'm honest. I just don't want to lose to Tottenham. Do you reckon we should go all-out attack versus Spurs with Havertz as left centre mid and Sterling left wing and Martinelli Trossard up front? I wouldn't say all out. I'm not a fan of being all out attack and gun-ho. I definitely want us to be brave. But we have to manage the game. I do think there's a reality. Kai Havertz starts in midfield and then when changes come, he goes up front. Or he starts in centre mid, Jesus goes up front if he's fit, or Sterling or whatever. But we've got enough to hurt Spurs. How long is Jesus out for? Not a clue. We had chances that could have changed the game. We could have killed the game in the first half. If Havertz or Saka score, it's a different story. And I'm not putting it down to them. We could have, all these talking points about the ref still could have been there had we put the ball in the back of the net. But it weren't our day, man. It just weren't our day. Letter of the law, harsh, whether it's a harsh decision or not, if common sense should apply or not, whether there's inconsistencies or not, these are all right. But ultimately, we played with fire. Arsenal tax, we got burnt. Trossard isn't a starter. He's a superstar. I think that's harsh. I think he deserves a lot more starts. I don't think he did anything of note against Brighton, even though a lot was more down the right-hand side. And to be fair with you, you can't really judge a man off one start. But I do think Trossard looks better off the bench. I do think there's games he comes off the bench and looks quite poor. There's games he starts and does well. But I do think when he comes off the bench, he looks a bit better. Time to move on from Jesus. This injury gimmick is tiring. It is, but we're going to have to use him for the season at least, man. Manage the game with old man Partey and Glass Jorginho against Bissouma, Sarah Madison. Going to have to. Got no chance, but and to be honest with you, the running last season, Partey stood up tall. Jorginho played a lot more than he needed to last season if everyone was fit. He stood up tall. But Zuma's a quality player. Sar's got legs, and as does Madison. They have threats. But let's not talk like these players are scrubs. Like, Partey finished or not. Let's not talk like he's a scrub. Let's not talk like Jorginho's a scrub. There's more than enough out there to put in a performance. Of course, would love Merino to be there. Would love Declan Rice to be there. Quite the drop-off. I can't really talk on Mikel because he ain't signed. Well, he ain't played a game for us. But let's not act like we're getting guys from SC Dons or something. Like, these are good players. There's more than enough. You know, you look at the midfield of Leicester. Are they player for player? Were they better? Partey could be finished. But I think he's been one of the best players in our last two games. And whether he's finished or not, finished Partey is going to have to be utilised this season. If he was finished, he'd be moved on. And he will be after this year. Fuming about the ref, but we need to move on and focus the North London derby. That's all we can do. It's gone now, isn't it? Really, you can't go back in time. It would be a lot better. Obviously, Mikel Arteta was incredibly critical. And to be fair with you, being in the press conference, the post-press conference for Arteta, bro, he was, you know, when someone's controlling their anger, like they're controlling their anger. That is how he felt. Like, I was there when he was like, I was amazed because of how inconsistent decisions can be. You can't be amazed anymore, Gaffer, man. Like, you know what time it is. In the first half, there are two incidences and nothing happens. Amen. Then in a non-critical area, the ball hits Declan. He turns around, which what I would say to my players is bad, man, but you can't beat them, join them. If we're ever in a scenario where we can do something like that, what Veltman's done, do it. He turns around, he doesn't see the player coming, and he touches the ball. Arteta, I think you're being a bit dishonest there. I think Declan knows what he's doing, if I'm honest with you. By the law, he can make that call, but then by law, he needs to make the next call, which is a red card, so we play 10 versus 10. This is what amazed me at this level. It's amazing, which is true. Boy, and then, you know, the Brighton gaffer said, for me, it was a clear red. He shoots the ball away. It's wasting time. You're a scumbag because the 11 versus 11, we definitely weren't wasting time. The Brighton manager, wait, because Postecoglou used to talk like this. You know, we should just let the refs do their job. Wait till it's your time because everyone's going to get done dirty by these refs. Mikel Arteta's post-press conference has said, it was a very emotional afternoon for sure. We started the game really well, created 3-4 chances that we didn't convert. So that's why I agree. 3-4 chances that we didn't convert. For a team that got 91 goals, could have at least got 2. I think we had 5 on target in the first half. After that, we had a period with some issues, particularly with the ball, and we lacked some dominance in that period. We then score a really good, I agree with that. We then scored a really good goal in the moment when we take advantage of the opponent. Then we go in at halftime, come back, and we are really strong. We had a half chance just before the Declan Rice thing as well. Then the rest makes a decision that changes the course of the game. Amen. With 10 men, the team reacted unbelievably well. The stadium reacts unbelievably well, and we should have won the game. There, yeah, we should have won the game. We've gone over Declan Rice. We know we had chances, people. He said, yes, for sure, during this period, how well we controlled the emotional part of the game because it was a tough one to take. The team reacted and showed a lot of discipline. We adapted what we had to do, playing at home with 10 men, and we don't want to be sitting deep for so long. We played the game that we had to play. We should have been rewarded. And then he said on Declan Rice beating out of the North London derby, this is what happens. We have other players that can fulfill and we give an opportunity to someone else. On the process of getting Sterling up to speed, yes, we'll have to see and speak to him on what he's been doing and how he's feeling about it. You'd imagine Sterling wants to get to grips sooner rather than later. We have to try to find quick wins to get him up to speed as quick as possible, and him understanding what we're looking for him and the dynamics of the team. We'll use this time to do that and as soon as possible get him involved. On how we can improve on inconsistencies in decisions, I don't know. This is not in our hands. I mean, I don't think they can. I don't think the people that want this to change. Think about it. I hate to refer to football as a business, but you've got all this money in the game. You've got all the great managers, the money, all of these things. You're sourcing players from all over the world, in which is an entertainment project. You've got all of these owners. You've got all of these, the clubs were trying to do Super League and being consulted on innovative measures. Do you really think it's a coincidence? Or it's by chance or a coincidence that this level of referee is there? No, it's talking points. We're talking about it on YouTube. People are going to be talking about it on TV. They want the refs to do this. It adds to this. It adds to the entertainment. The inconsistencies are there by choice, not by chance. Timber apparently was cramp, and to be fair, Timber left field choice could be a centre mid option. Big up Bakayo. I think we've gone over this, but he said, of course, it's something I can be proud of, but it's a bit hard to be happy with this, especially when you don't get the win. I thought we had the game in our hands. Then a big decision turned the game completely, and we had to fight and dig in until the end. We got a good point in the end, but it's still a bit disappointing at the same time. He then said, at first, it was a bit difficult for us, but once we adjusted, we defended really well. We had a few chances in the end and could have even nicked it. A big credit to the boys. We fought hard and we take the point and move. Fair play. I mean, I don't know, but if you've been living under a rock, people, our Champions League games have been announced. We're playing Atalanta on the 17th of September. That's at their place. We then welcome PSG to our place on the 1st of October. The 22nd of October sees us welcome Shakhtar the next to our place. Then the 6th of November, we've got Inter Milan away at the San Siro. November the 26th, we go to Sporting Lisbon's place. Last two times we've been to Portugal ain't been kind. The 11th of December, we welcome Monaco and Balogun back. Dynamo Zagreb versus Arsenal takes place on the 22nd of January. And on the 29th of January, we travel to Spain and play Girona, people. So, yeah, man. Busy period for Arsenal Football Club. Once again, I can't get over that handball. This happened. This was spoken about before the Brighton game, but I've just seen Kai Havertz's comments. Kroenkes need to have some shame. Bit harsh. Imagine we get all 3 points against Spurs, Atalanta, and Man City. Then it's great, man. One thing I've also realized is that in that specific game, the shots the players took were weak, couldn't be bothered to smash it, and we could have been 3-4 up. It's a mentality thing. I just don't think the finishing was there, man, if I'm honest. We didn't have that many chances. Our XG was between 1.7 and 2.2. Fair enough. We need to stop this idea of we had enough chances to kill the game. Rants to explain away rubbish refereeing. I don't think we've ranted, and I think that this is what I mean about two truths can live in the hands in one realm, in that the ref had a big talking point, but we had chances. We did have chances to kill the game. We could have been 2-3-4 up, or at least 2 goals minimum. 2 goals do the job. At worst, it's a nervy 2-1. This game was the best example of what happens when you don't put teams away when you have the opportunity to do so. Just shows how football is, as cliche it is, it's a tale of two halves, man. I think that's probably been the theme of every game in the Premier League, or the majority of them this weekend, apart from Man United. They were crap in the first and the second half. I think Arteta was angry at the players for conceding and the missed Havertz and Saka chance. Besides West Ham away, Man United away, and Porto at home last season, Trossard really hasn't impressed me all that much in incidences where he started. Ethan needs minutes, and this game against Spurs is a game he should get minutes. I want Timber to play centre mid. Mate, this North London derby could define our season. Honestly, a draw, we're done. A loss, forget it. I hear that, but at the same time, there's still 30 other games. Because what if we go and I'm not trying to be positive or negative, but what if we beat Spurs and then go on to lose the next 10? Or if we lose to Spurs and City and then go win the next 20? XG is a huge issue. We're 8th in XG standards, not created enough chances. XG is 5.3-ish in 180 minutes. Haaland got 7 goals on his own. I love Trossard, and I don't want to make it sound like negativity, but he hasn't shown me enough impact when he started off the bench. Wow, I could go on forever starting. It's iffy. Timber can play in midfield. These are all scenarios that he's going to have to go through, man. I really and truly. With City doing what They do. We must take our chances, no excuse. And that's the thing in that the fact that we drew, it's almost like, and I know we can't win them all, but it does feel like a loss on the premise of City aren't going to drop that many points. I hope to God I'm wrong. You know, for everybody, it's best City go on a losing streak. Kai Havertz spoke, people, and he said, I wanted to play good and that was it. Then when I went home without a goal and assist, it was okay when we won the game. But nowadays, I don't know. Sometimes I go home, we won the game, and maybe I didn't score, and it frustrates me a bit. I love to hear that from you, Kai. You see yourself as a striker now. That changed a bit my mindset. And to be honest, Kai Havertz, you're unrecognizable from getting charity penalties away at Bournemouth to what you're doing now. Big up yourself, because for me, I'm not Arteta. And I know we need another striker. I know what we can say about Kai Havertz. Honestly, to God, he's one of the first names on the team sheet, man, if I'm completely honest with you. Without speaking about, you know, the defenders, Benjamin White, Saliba, Gabriel, Raya, for me, once you get past the obvious, Declan Rice typically and Odegaard, once you get past them, or once you get past the defense, it's Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka, you take it from there. But nonetheless, he said, I think it's the best feeling you can have to prove Arsenal right. I know there are people who don't like you, maybe how you play or whatever, and they're always haters. And to be fair, Kai Havertz, it's horrible to watch you dribble. That's one thing. You're horrible to watch dribbling just on the eye. Big up yourself. I'm a fan of yours. But you put in a great ball for Bukayo Saka's chance in that second half, man. And I would have loved to have seen you get an assist. But last year against Spurs, you had a great assist for Saka. Let's go again. He said, I know there are people that don't like you, maybe how you play or whatever, and there's always haters. After rain always comes sun, and I always thought about that, and I thought to myself, for sure, there's going to be a point where I'm going to turn it around. Love that. The point came, and I'm super happy that I found a way to show my best football again. That's what's important to me. I had great people around me, especially at the training ground with the coach and all the staff members that have helped me a lot. They always spoke to me. They showed me how I can improve, how I can help the team, how I can get my confidence back. Then also, I had especially my missus that... that helped me a lot, and my family, they were always there. And I just think I reminded myself why I played football. Big up yourself, man. He admitted that he was a bit shy around his teammates at first. He said it's also with the type of players we have. If you have a good connection to them, then probably they understand your movements and everything, which is great. And hopefully with Sterling, that can be said. Then that's why maybe it took a while at the beginning for me to get used to the players. I'm not a person who goes out. In the beginning, I'm always a bit shy. But then when you understand people and they understand you, it's much easier to connect on the pitch. Big up yourself and keep it going, Kai, man. Our next 6 fixtures, we've got Spurs away, Atalanta away, Manchester City away. Damn, we're not seeing the Emirates for a minute. Before we've got Bolton, Leicester and Paris Saint-Germain. The games are coming thick and fast. And for context, on the 15th of September, it's North London derby settings. Then the following Thursday, you've got Atalanta away. And then you've got Manchester City away on the Sunday. So we've got a small squad. We're coping with injuries. We're going to have to get with it. And there's also some logistical traveling. Letting Smith Rowe go, big mistake. In hindsight, it's looking like it. But Smith Rowe probably pressed for the exit. Now, big up to you lot that saw my video come out earlier today. I have covered at length the Athletics article, people, but paraphrasing a couple of things that came from it. When Arsenal's interest intensified in Calafiori, Chelsea made overturns regarding a potential transfer. Calafiori's reps declined to enter talks out of respect for Arsenal. When Real Madrid entered the fray, it was a different matter, as it should be. No one says an outright no to Madrid. Arsenal had assured Calafiori's camp they would proceed with the signing once they were confident of a significant sell that looked likely to be Smith Rowe, who was fielding interest from Fulham, which we've obviously seen how that's panned out. In hindsight, smash the like button if you haven't, people. There was considerable internal frustration about the fact Arsenal spent precious time and resources in the final week of the window dealing with yet more turnover in the goalkeeping department. So members of Arsenal or the boardroom, they feel the way we do. Going to be some nasty defensive displays last few weeks. Italians would be proud. Bring it, man. That's what we need to. Tommy Setford will now step up to take the third choice goalkeeping position. It's not an entirely satisfactory outcome, as some at Arsenal feel his development would be best served by remaining with the academy, which he could, but for a lad that's come out of Ajax Academy to Arsenal's first team, albeit for a period, you'd imagine we'll try and do something in January. It's a movie, really and truly, and you'd imagine he'd get some game time at under 21s level. Arsenal wanted to offset any additional sales to sign Sesko. They needed assurance that one of their existing strikers would leave. At that early stage of the window, none of the interest in Nketiah had matured into some serious negotiations. There was some tentative interest in Gabriel Jesus from Saudi Arabia, but nothing concrete. Sesko was also intrigued by the prospect of joining Arsenal. I mean, if he was there, you could have played Kai in midfield for the Spurs game. Not that I want Kai in midfield. Although Man United and Chelsea showed significant interest in the forward, the Emirates Stadium was his preferred destination if he was to leave Arsenal. Arsenal never came to the table with a formal bid for Sesko, and the Slovenian elected to re-sign with Leipzig. Again, I've covered that in the video that came out today. Apparently, Arsenal rejected offers from Saudi for both Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko. Now, Zinchenko is the one that kind of shocks me, really, if I'm honest with you. Again, Mikel Merino is going to be out, people, so we're going to have to deal with that. In fact, jumping straight into it, Sammy Mokbel came out with an updated piece and said, Arsenal suffer heavy blow as summer signing Mikel Merino is set to be sidelined for nearly 2 months after he suffered a fractured shoulder in his first training session. Maybe Gabriel's been making bozo moments all over the training and the actual matches for us. We all love Magalhaes, so it's all love. But we all know he's set to miss 2 months, people. Obviously, Mikel Arteta confirmed it was an unnecessary and unfortunate, well, not even unnecessary, an unfortunate collision with Gabriel. It happens. This is football. The Spain international is not expected to be back until the middle of October. So do we apply Arsenal tax and that's November? Or will he be back sooner rather than later? Ain't even got a chance to kick a ball, man. But you know what? We'll see you soon, man. He's not expected to be back until the middle of October at the earliest in news that arrives as a major blow to the Gunners. There is hope Merino will have a chance to return after the October international break. Hey. Arsenal face Bournemouth on the 20th of October before hosting Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League the following midweek, people. Again, he's only just signed for us. Merino's prolonged absence obviously impacts the North London derby. Declan Rice is suspended as well. You would have seen as well, apparently Trossard has interest from Saudi Arabia. It'd be silly to sell Trossard at this moment, people. And likewise, Arsenal have rejected the £29.5 million bid. Had in an ideal world, I wouldn't even be on selling Trossard, but if we had more long-term options, if we, had the somewhat summer that Arsenal wanted, maybe they'd be up for that, because that's a chance to recoup your value. But no way can you sell Trossard at this moment in time. It would make no sense unless he was to force it out. Wigan goalkeeper Sam Tickle turned down the chance to join Arsenal in the window, people. He was sounded out about going to the Gunners as third choice with a chance of becoming a Premier League squad man. However, the player was not interested in dropping into the shadows and opted to carry on in League One, which I'm sure if we come again one day he would. But why would you want to sit on the bench? He was Wigan's player of the season. Minutes are currency. You're getting into the England under-21 fold. There will be a move to the Premier League. We ain't missed anything else. I feel like I skipped something. Did we? I mean, I think we've gone over Raheem Sterling's comments. Yeah, we've gone over Mikel Arteta's Raheem Sterling comments. Again, he's hopeful that he'll get him back up to his best. Apparently, he's actually, getting straight into work, as you'd imagine. He's not with the England squad, and so you'd imagine he's there. The 29-year-old has not played any football since pre-season and wants to use the next fortnight to make sure he's ready to face Spurs. Sterling is also planning to study Arsenal's patterns of play, although he has experience of Arteta's methods, having worked with him at Manchester City. After being asked to train away from the first team at Chelsea, Sterling has been working with performance coach Ben Rosenblatt. Sterling usually trains with Rosenblatt, who was England's lead physical performance coach before stepping down last year during the off-season, and has helped keep the winger sharp. But Sterling wants to step up his training now he has joined Arsenal. Arteta is eager to get him up to speed over the next 2 weeks. I mean, I think we're all eager to see that. We just spoken about the verbal offer that was presented for Trossard from Saudi being turned down. Omar Rekic has had his contract cancelled by mutual agreement at Arsenal, people. Nico Williams said, my heart is Bilbao, but nobody knows what will happen in the future. It's always good when big teams want you, but I always said that I wanted to be here. If there was anything, it was from my agent, but I want to play in Europe with Bilbao. So we have to see. And apparently Arsenal, Chelsea and Barcelona are still interested. They'll probably get him to sign a new deal, but he still has a 58 million release clause. So until next summer, Sesko and Nico Williams. Szczesny has said he turned down the chance to join Arsenal, people. He said, sentiment kicked in and I was open to talks with Arsenal out of respect, but I knew it wasn't for me. It was all about logistics. Something very significant would have had to happen for this move to happen. I didn't start talks with anyone, not even with Mikel. I could have made a phone call and reached an agreement. The Arsenal auction came up before I terminated my contract with Juventus. I said, okay, we talked, but 2 days later, I said it didn't make much sense. So you didn't speak to anyone. Was it an agent acting on behalf of Arsenal? Said, you know what, Arsenal need a keeper. Szczesny could return. I could make a little commission. How far does that go, really? I don't know, people. But that's where you have it. Mikel Arteta snubbed Ivan Toney transfer to Arsenal for intriguing reason. Arteta reportedly gave Ivan Toney the cold shoulder over fears he'd upset Arsenal's squad harmony. I mean, after fighting so well to sort that out, I guess you would be a bit scared. But yeah, apparently he went off Toney as an option because of doubts about his attitude and how he would gel with the team ethos. Since taking charge in 2019, Arteta has attempted to get rid of rotten apples. Bit harsh to call him that. And apparently he wasn't sold on the idea of Toney marching to the beat of the same drum. This echoes what Arsenal insider Team News and Tick said earlier this year after an alleged meeting between the club's hierarchy and the England international. He told Charles Watts they don't like him. They met him and didn't like him. When he signed with his agency in August last year, they said, "What do you want?" He said, "Get back playing, get in the England squad and move to a big club, preferably Arsenal." He saw himself fitting in as the number 9. He thought he'd get tons of goals and he thought he'd suit the system. They met him and they purely didn't like him. Wonder what he did. With Toney, there's just stacks of evidence of a personality that you'd imagine Arteta didn't want around the squad. I don't want to write off someone I don't know, but it's gone past ability there, really. Again, this article is said, and again, the Google Translate hasn't helped, but apparently we was offered Mudryk on loan. Chelsea tried to use that as a bargaining chip to get us to overpay for this loan fee for Sterling. Didn't happen. Fabrizio Romano says free agent was offered to Man United. So this is somebody spoke about Rabiot. Rabiot is still a free agent, a bit like Martial. Is that something to dip into? Somebody mentioned Galatasaray in talks with Napoli over Osimhen. What's going on there, man? What's going on there, Osimhen, man? What's going on there? Would they even get him? Who knows, people? We've gone over Mikel Merino. Don't remind me. We've gone over that. Apparently, Nagelsmann has confirmed that Kai Havertz will be one of Germany's vice captains. Big up you, man, growing in importance. In terms of other injury news, we've gone over Mikel Merino. Apparently, Timber's injury is thought to just be a cramp. He's still in the Dutch squad for what it's worth, people. Gabriel Jesus, Arteta said he was expected to be available pretty soon. We hope he's available for the North London derby. For Tomiyasu, he's remaining quite quiet. At the moment, it's difficult to say. It's a bit of a slow process of the first phase of that injury. It's probably for the medical team to say more on that. So I wouldn't expect to see him. Kieran Tierney apparently said he needs to focus on recovering the best possible way. It's been tough for him again with the last injury. We have to try to support him and make sure he gets back fit. Don't know if Tierney will make too many appearances before January, where you'd imagine he'd be flogged off. In terms of our 12 Arsenal boys that are, playing elsewhere, David Raya is obviously with Spain, Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice are with England, Calafiori is with Italy, Saliba's obviously with France, people. Martin Odegaard's gone off with his country, Norway. Zinchenko's gone off with Ukraine. Poland have selected Kivior. Gabriel's been selected for Brazil. Wait, no Martinelli. No Martinelli and Jesus. Well, boy, is where it is in that regards, ain't it? So I'm gonna have to get on with that. Kingsley Coleman, apparently the Bayern Munich board member Max Ober has confirmed that Kingsley Coleman will be staying at the club this summer. Obviously, he didn't get his move. He was another one that was linked with Arsenal and it didn't go anywhere. Analyzing this, I was just reading this in the Athletic, but it might be interesting because it spoke about net spend. Where is the net spend part? Net spend. When you look at our net spend, what's that? Our net spend is 22 million. So, I mean, the balance sheet is all right. I'm sure the owners be happy about that because we have needed to get better at selling. But right now in midfield, we can't say, you know what, there's an injury and a suspension. Net spend, you're starting. When we need a goal profit, you can't come off the bench. So, yeah, man. Odegaard had a knock, anything on that. Didn't say anything, so it is what it is. Tony about to get that 400k tax-free and superb hospitality. Go get the bag. I hear it. Big Gabby is 26, 27. He ain't going Saudi anytime soon. Napoli actually messed up their bag. They don't sell when they should. They hold on for too long and still think the value is the same. They tried to finesse everybody. They tried to give him a new deal. They should have sold him. They should have flogged him before he signed that new deal. And now they got lost with it. They thought English clubs are silly. We spend a lot. We spend a lot of money. We spend a lot of money. If Chelsea, who you can't pay them to have common sense, said, you know what, the Osimhen deal don't make sense. We all knew Arsenal weren't getting involved in that, and anybody else, that is what it is. Why are you surprised Jesus isn't in the Brazil squad? Isn't he injured? You're right, man. It's more Martinelli, but his form's not been there. So with the talent they've got, it's a myth, innit? Hear me out. Back five of White, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Timber, with Timber inverting into midfield and attack. I wouldn't be against it. Saudi will come in for Gabby Magalhaes. And we will see Calafiori come in. We finally got some good depth. Do we really want to sell people already? But I definitely see a midfield of Partey, Havertz, Odegaard with Saka, Trossard, Martinelli forwards. We saw it in pre-season against Liverpool. With the last game, in my opinion, Rice did deserve the red card, but it was very harsh. We should have won the game. We had chances to win it. This game also proves our bench is weak. Good choice from Tickle. We would have ruined him play regular football. If Jesus is fit, Arteta probably plays Havertz and Partey in midfield, and I'll be fighting for my life watching that North London derby. Imagine Sterling coming on and carrying us these first 2 months. It'll be lovely, really. Is there any wonder Raya has been our man of the match first 3 games? Get Partey out the 6 and put Rice back in there. Arteta likes putting square pegs in round holes. But Gabby should have done this development. Harsh. Gyökeres's conversion rate is serious stuff, but we don't make the call. I mean, he's picked up where he's left off, really. He's bagging goals for fun, man. The Merino injury is gutting. What a man talking about Sesko. Man didn't want to come stay at Leipzig. To be fair, if you read the Athletics article, he was on it. It's just, I covered it all in the last vid. I don't want to go over the same things. Gyökeres should be the 9 we're looking at. DJ, I was told Arsenal have a thin squad. You made your bed, Arteta, now lie in it. Big up yourself, Marcel. And yeah, man, we're just going to have... Ultimately, we can't control anything. There's reasons to be optimistic. There's reasons to be negative. There's reasons to be cautious and wary about the current climate that surrounds our football club heading into not just September, but the end of the year. But it is what it is. Like, all I can say is we're just going to have to get on with it. What shall be, if I'm completely honest. Is there anything else where Arsenal's concerned? Apparently, the Bournemouth game has been rearranged as well, people. Our Premier League game against Bournemouth on Sunday, October the 20th at the Vitality Stadium has been moved due to our Champions League commitment. So this was expected. The new date of the game against the Cherries will now be Saturday, October the 19th with a 5:30 kickoff, with the match remaining televised in the UK by Sky Sports. The rescheduling is because we'll be in Champions League action against Shakhtar Donetsk the following Tuesday, allowing us a 72-hour gap between our domestic and European competitions. But gonna have to get on with it. But yeah, that's just come out 58 minutes ago. Doesn't seem like there's anything else. Even if there was transfer news, would anyone give a flying monkeys? Kai needs to learn to shoot and control his fit. It's like watching a baby giraffe learning to walk. But again, at 25, are you ever gonna be like that? If you are Arteta, what would you say to those players in relation to the Bournemouth game, Brighton game? Sorry, I'd have a lot of sympathy because of the ref. I would applaud them for, if you can't win, don't lose. You did get a point. But I would be upset that we didn't take our chances. We didn't control the midfield to the way we could. And, yeah, mainly just the chances. And I just feel we were for a team that's quite compact, we weren't really that against Brighton. And it looked like psychologically we were a bit nervous, which these are things that I haven't seen for a while. Fortunately, if this is coming when we've drawn the game, then there's still something to take from it, but it's 2 points we've got to claw back in it. So hopefully we can go on a winning run starting in the North London derby. I mean, what shall be against Manchester City. But 7 points from 9 it's not the worst. It's actually not the worst. It just feels like a defeat because the ref robbed us. Still surprised Arteta has never tried Zinni left centre mid. I think that says it all. We're not solid with Partey in the 6. On a good I brought new boots, finishing up my rehab to be kicking ball again. Hey, you saying you're trying to get signed? DG, would you take Sesko or Gyökeres? I'm a big fan of Sesko. But it's hard to deny, like, you're watching what Gyökeres is doing and you just want to take a chance on it. Partey has consistency problems. He does well in stages and other times he makes blunders that undermine his quality as a player. He never recovered from that injury. But when I think of Partey, I just think of injuries. And Partey is good a lot of the time. But there's only really been a handful of times throughout the times he's been here where he's been that kind of level. Like even towards the run-in at the end of the season last year, I think he was superb. I always think about the game where he partnered El Nene at Old Trafford. Haven't seen that. That hasn't become the minimum. But what I would say is you can't look at other clubs. We've got problems. Look at what happened to Casemiro yesterday. Look what happened to Kobe Mainoo. Have you seen my son, Kobe Mainoo? I don't know what's going on. Partey has I've already read that out. Did Sterling get the 10? To be honest, I still don't know what number Sterling is. I do see some on social media saying he's got the 10. Let me see if Arsenal have updated stuff. It still says Raheem Sterling ain't got a number. Like, let me share my screen. Still says Raheem Sterling ain't got a number. It's not been made clear. He's going to need to have a number. But look, when you go to team, obviously you can see everybody here. Everybody's got a number. It's got some sign next to Raheem Sterling. If I'm Sterling, you might as well be shameless and try to grab the number 14 for a year or the 10 for a year, really. The ref robbed you robbed yourself. Saka and Havertz missed 1v1 chances, but your super defense got split by a pass. Lewis Duncan, you're talking about the ref robbed you. Cool story, bro. All I wanted was a striker signing, most likely Gyökeres. Yes, Sky Sports said he got the 10. Well, that's our number 10 for a year then, isn't it? Rice is an intercepting / defensive machine made to drop in the back line and let everyone else attack. What number is Sterling? I mean, nothing. Them lot are saying Sky Sports are saying he's got the 10. Arsenal.com isn't saying anything. Let me see. Have Sky Sports made a new article or something about Sterling's number? All that matters is what you do for the gang, man. Just do the job for the team on the front. Don't matter what number you're wearing. Personally, I just don't think Rice works as an 8. Partey needs someone like Xhaka beside him to sweep around him to make it work. I do think Rice works as an 8, but it's like, how much blood can you draw from a stone? Like, I do think he's done well in it, but he's never going to be Frank Lampard or Paul Scholes. So how far is it going to get? Like, Rice has never been that. I definitely think he could be a bit more. He could try a bit better with some of his passes to break lines, but that's never been him. He's interceptions, ball winning, them kind of things there. So you kind of just want him to play as a 6. But I think we're going to get into a stage where when we eventually see Declan Rice and Mikel Merino, that they're just kind of two hybrid 8s and 6s. What happened to Kai? He was always tall and lanky, even at Leverkusen, but he was much smoother. Now he doesn't have control over his body. I don't know. You'd have to ask Kai Havertz. One day we'll see Zinni in the 6. Reactions will be good. Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm not on that at all, man. Rice is better at the 8 with Jorginho. Don't know what it is with Partey. But we weren't saying that towards the end of last season, though. But that's why we need another one. Wenger would have made Rice do roulettes as an 8. Arteta can't teach flair. Sorry, I capped. It wasn't Sky Sports. It was Football.London. So let's see Football.London. I mean, if he's got the 10, then he's got the 10, innit? But I've seen so many different things with what number Raheem Sterling's worn, and I'm sure there's a reason for not announcing it. But yeah, if Rice is only in the team to intercept and defend, why did we pay 100 million? We could have gone for Zubimendi and Williams for that money. Williams don't want to leave. Zubimendi didn't want to join us. And obviously, there's a bit of an English premium with Rice. Of course, he's not only in the team to intercept, but that's when you think of Declan Rice, that's his bread and butter. That's literally his bread and butter. Let's be honest. If you sign that wavy number 8, you have Odegaard. Rice, no one ain't trying to see Rice split lines. Anything Rice can do is a bonus, but that's what Rice has made his name of. Odegaard's made his name of splitting defenses. Rice is known for winning the ball back. He's not Rodri. He's never going to be Rodri. That doesn't mean we can't get more out of him with his passing and whatnot, but this isn't him. I'm not being funny, but he's in his mid-20s. He's captained West Ham. He's been capped by the country. We know what he's like, really. And I like the fact that Arteta has clearly changed certain things about him, and the way he's playing, even when he's as a 6 at Arsenal, is very different from West Ham. But you're not going to change him too much. That's just not him. I can't see it on Football.London, to be fair, about Raheem Sterling. Thing with Zinni in midfield is he has to cover behind when he makes a mistake in defense. I'm not trying to see Zinchenko in midfield. Listen, if he played in the North London derby in midfield and he plays well, I'll be the first to applaud him. I'm not on it, if I'm completely honest. I'm not on it. You go to sleep at left back, it's crime scene. It will be a crime scene in the middle of the park. You're going to get bullied. If the sun is shining, a team is sitting back, it's one of them. Zinchenko, you could play out front. Zinchenko could play in goal. Like, you could do what you want. Them things, I'm scared. Not gonna lie, Merino on Partey with a work shame. He got injured. Leave the 10 and 14 alone. Can't be giving that to temporary players. We need to be spending this whole year speaking with Isaac, man. Dream chasing, but yeah. We needed a striker, but Arteta didn't want all the opportunities Havertz missed. If it was a real striker, we would have won the game. But strikers still missed opportunities. Ollie Watkins, bad boy striker, whatever people say. Maybe not the best in the league, bad boy striker, scores goals for fun. Aston Villa probably beat us if he scores those 2 chances. He didn't. It is what it is. So strikers are going to miss, man. I think Rice is worth the 100 million. Do I think Rice is a £100 million player in an ideal world? No, but this is the scenario we're in. In an ideal world, you have to pay the premium. And I think Rice is going to be a long-term option. I think he's Mr. Fantastic. I think he's good. I think he's one of the best interceptors in the world. You have to pay the going rate. Right? You have to pay it. I'm sure if the club wanted to, they would have paid less. And I think Rice being fit saved us with Partey. I think Rice has improved our midfield and brought something. Do I think Rice is worth 100 million? No. Do I think Kai Havertz was worth 65 million? No, but they're doing their job. So who cares? Value for money, or what a footballer is worth and the fair value, it's gone out the window. It went out the window a long time ago. Long time ago. A very long time ago. And you look at what some other teams... Am I happy with what we got for Declan Rice? He's done better in an Arsenal shirt than Paul Pogba did at Man United for the majority of his career there, for what he was hyped up to be. He's definitely done more than Casemiro. We don't need to get started on what Chelsea did. It's not quite the same, and City very rarely flop with their signings, but nobody talks about Matheus Nunes. Spurs signed Ndombele for 60-odd million, and they still got a whole bunch of nothing. Like, so there's something to be said. Like, could you have found a cheaper alternative? Great. But I don't think that's like you got to take that to Arsenal. Rice didn't pick his price tag. West Ham negotiated, did what they did in the circle, man. People act like the club's money is their own personal money. Who cares if the player is good? Mikel Merino, reason shoulder injury. Further details, see player page. Return 20th of October 2024. DG, what will be your stance if we got another season trophyless? Edu, Arteta, Cronkies. Everyone's got to take accountability. Obviously, the Cronkies, we've got a good balance sheet. It's a positive net spend. Where's the trophies? Arteta, I big you up. You're meant to be this guy. Where's the trophies? And I feel a lot of Arsenal fans last season, they were doing all this. Oh, we've gone out the League Cup. It's great. We've gone out the League Cup because we would have had more fixtures to play and this, that, and the third. You need to bring in a trophy. Edu, everybody has to face blame, bro. Everybody has to hold some sort of accountability. Mikel Moreno's allegedly out until the next international break in October. One season at the club and team of the season nominee. Rice was definitely worth the 100 in this market and the best is yet to come. We need Isaac so bad, man. I'm trying to see a name like that come in next summer. No more pausing. The perfect signing couldn't be more clearer. You've got to put the money down, man. I love Rice, but for a tall guy, surprisingly bad aerially. Probably the contact lenses, man. We could have. You're definitely right. Tommy Asu just can't stay fit. And that's my frustrations. I love Tommy, but if you can't stay fit, like half of these players, if you can't stay fit, it's long now, man, because we're still having the same old conversations. Fair enough. Mikel Merino, freak injury, it happens. Tommy Asu, we've been here. Jesus, we've been here. Partey, we've been here more times than we care. Tierney's not a major part of this, but we've been here. So it is what it is, man. Like, it's a sour taste in the mouth because obviously the international break, it's not provided a platform for us to just get this disappointing Brighton result out of our system and just win the next game quickly. But it is what it is in that regards, man. But with that being said, though, people, I'm going to leave you lot to enjoy your evening. I'm going to get back to working on a video I have about Raheem Sterling. I appreciate you lots of opinions, differences of opinions, questions, general support, whether you're on Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube. It's always appreciated. And I'll always be here, people, to bring content. Make sure you're subscribing if you haven't and follow DG Sports Views, people, my second YouTube channel. Again, can we get to 70,000 before 2025? Big ox, but it is what it is. On that note, peace.
Against this right back, Charlie, definitely.